Hello and welcome to Lyra's Diary. This will be week 1 where I am going to take basically my notes from my D&D campaign and read them out to you in a sort of podcast episode type style, as I've got a while without any games, so I thought I'd do something fun little project. So this is literally all it's going to be. It's just going to be image and then the voiceover of Lyra's Diary. I'll be reading it out as the character with her voice, mannerisms, stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys like this, then I'll continue to do the other weeks. There's currently 16 weeks that I can do, so we'll see how this goes. There will be some of her songs and stuff thrown in as well, but I will always put in the description, the lyrics, translations, and a brief rundown of what we did in the game. So before we get started with Week Unknown, Lyra had spent some time with this adventuring party before she started doing her diary. She awoke on a beach with no memory of how she came to be there. She was found by a group of travellers that took her in, and she ended up being given can't speak, to the party sort of with no say, by Luna, who was the tribe leader, and her task was to go with this group and help them bring back their friend Percy, who was a half werewolf, half vampire with chaos magic, and there was all sorts of stuff going on. She's had a run-in with the lords, so Raphael, Stolas, Alistair, stuff like that. This diary takes place, I think she had been with the group about 5-6 weeks, I want to say, before I started doing her diary again. They had just got into Waterdeep, and they were doing sort of their usual. They'd gone to a tavern, they booked some rooms, Lyra did a performance, and then they went off to go do something at the docks. I can't fully remember what it was. And whilst at the docks, someone came in, and this character that came in was Myra. And Lyra and Myra have some history, in the sense of, before Lyra lost her memories, I did a 6-part one-shot called The Crimson Carousel, which was a lot of fun. Lyra was actually the BBG in that, and she tortured and killed Myra. So they have some history. Obviously Lyra does not remember her at this point. So Myra came into the tavern, basically called Lyra a bitch, slapped her, there was a bit of a fight. And Lyra couldn't really understand why this random woman was coming up to her. So that night at the tavern, whilst everyone was asleep, she decided to go and confront Myra because she has no memory of her past, she has no idea who she is, and she ended up being captured. She was captured for 3-4 days and she was tortured. She lost her eye, she was waterboarded. So she's got some scarring. So after that, Myra decided that she had had enough of Lyra because she was trying to bring out the old evil Lyra and wasn't really succeeding because she didn't have her memories. So she set a fire in hopes of killing Lyra. But Lyra was saved by someone. She doesn't know who it was, but she was saved by a guy that named her Little Thorn. And a Little Thorn is a nickname that she had back at her circus days in Odyssey. So this is the same Lyra from the Odyssey. Again, there's about 15 weeks of a diary in that, so if you guys are interested in her early years, I'm more than happy to do sort of a podcast episode of those too. I will probably do a similar thing for the Crimson Carousel when I've got some character notes so that I can remember what happened, because I was DMing, so I didn't take any notes from those games, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I will now sort of I'll get straight into it. So get a drink, get a snack, and I hope you enjoy. Lyra Diary, Week Unknown. I awaken to white walls and the smell of antiseptic instead of blood, water and smoke. The bed is too clean, the sheets too soft, and my body aches in the quiet. The kind of ache that comes after pain has already done its worst. I can still feel Myra's hands on me if I let myself think about it too long, so I don't. I sit up, just enough to steal a pen and a scrap of paper before anyone notices that I'm awake. I remember now. That's the problem and Myra's biggest mistake. There's the new me, the one they know, the bard, the problem solver, the woman who jokes, sings and flirts badly and pretends things don't cut as deep as they do. And then there is the old me, awake again, stretching like a shadow after a very long sleep. And she remembers everything. She is cold, precise and very tired of pretending she isn't capable of terrible things. That I'm not capable. They're fighting in my head, I can feel them. The old me telling me that survival comes first and control comes second, and that mercy is optional and unnecessary. The new voice tells me that I'm not that person anymore, that I don't have to be, and that I still hold a chance of changing. Ironic, in a sense, that Killian was right. But they are just both lying to each other. I remember my first family now, the one forged in salt, air and fire back when God still watched us closely and Troy was more than rubble. Eros, Dow, Myron, the ship, the sea, monsters that had names and rules. We fought things you could see and things you could stab. Loss was brutal but honest. Then the circus, God's the circus. I won't write what I did there, only that it was loud and bright and full of applause that drowned out the guilt if you let it. I learned how to smile while bleeding, how to become whatever people wanted to see, how to survive by being useful. And then silence, time, too much time. 3,689 years, I believe, has passed. He kept the truth from me, but at least I'm not under his control anymore. Makes me 3,714, though, gods, I am now old. That number sits in my chest like a stone. If the party ever learns what I did to Myra, to Killian, to the others who stood with them, even the kids, gods, they will never look at me the same. And I don't know if I could blame them. I don't know if I'd stop them if they tried to kill me for it. Killian is the problem now. I need him alone. Not for the reasons the old voice wants, though she's very loud about finishing what I started, but because I need answers. How did he bring Myra back without her heart? How much does he remember and how much does he know? And yes, part of me wants to make sure he never speaks of it, ever, and that thought scares me more than the torture did. As for Myra, I wish I could say I feel closure, but I don't. I feel coiled rage, patient and sharp. A part of me wants her dead again, properly this time. Another part of me wonders what she became in my absence, and a smaller, traitorous part wonders if killing her once wasn't enough, because it didn't fix what was broken in me. Oh, I admit this version of her is much more fun and entertaining. The party, gods, the party, they tried to save me, fought for me and risked themselves for me, and I am furious about it. Not because I don't care, but because I don't believe I deserve it. Because saving me wasn't the smart choice, because they should have finished what they were doing instead of pulling me back from something I've crawled out of before. I won't tell them I remember, at least at first, I can't. The old self is dangerous, efficient, seductive. She whispers that slipping would be easy and that would solve everything. The power feels better than fear. Perhaps she is right. I am terrified of how white she sounds. So, I will smile, I will joke, and I will play the role they all expect. I'll be useful, kind, and I will be good. Or at least try to be. I have to be good. And I will pray, quietly, desperately, that I never lose my grip again. Because if I do, I don't know if this time there will be anyone left to stop me. Killian couldn't the first time, and I doubt the party could. I'm not sure how long I drift before the door opens and I can hear the familiar voices of my party, overlapping. I blink hard, the room tilting, the ceiling swimming like I'm underwater again. Shapes resolve into people, and for a horrible second my heart slams against my ribs. I don't trust it. Not after Myra, and certainly not after the tricks. Not after watching Crane die a dozen different ways in my head. My mouth moves before I can stop it. Code word. I mumble, my voice rough. Say it. There's a pause, just long enough for panic to spike. Then Crane answers steady as ever. Pancakes. The breath I let out feels like it's been trapped in me for years. Okay, this is real. I am here and safe. For now, at least. They crowd closer, Pippin perched like he never learnt personal space, and Algy illuminating that quiet, watchful way of his. Alric's trying not to look relieved, and Crane is alive and breathing whole. My brain still insists on replaying the image of the blade through his throat and blood everywhere. But I force it down. They call me family, and they say that I'm a part of the team. When I ask them why the hell they came after me, why risk pissing off Myra and Killian for me? Algia places a hand to my shoulder, and I can't help but flinch. Not from pain, but from the distrust of the statement, from the guilt of seeing Nox get butchered in front of me and displayed whilst tied to a chair and unable to do anything. In truth, I don't believe their words. Not really. I want to, deep down, but it still hurts in a way I can't explain, like being offered something warm when you're convinced you don't deserve to fall. Albert jokes that next time they should make me sign a "Do Not Rescue" paper before any mission, given my anger at their attempt, and I snort despite myself, which turns into an awkward half laugh that pulls at stitches I didn't know I had. It feels wrong to laugh, but good too. Confusing. Everything is confusing currently. There's a red rose by my bed, fresh, impossible in this place. It shouldn't be here. Pretty sure I was hallucinating the rescue, but it's almost hard to tell. Besides it sits a folded note and a small parcel. I don't touch them yet. I pretend I haven't seen them at all. Whatever is written there can wait. I'm not ready for more truths just yet. So instead I ask about the syndicate, a safe topic, external and distant, something I can focus on without falling apart. They fill me in, voices blending together, plans and names and threats stacking up like cards. After a while, needing a distraction, I sit myself up and call Pippin onto the bed for a game of dice. Algia has to sort of give him the uppies, as he can't quite get up onto the bed, but he sits with me. We play around. I'm terrible and so are the numbers, as I'm still foggy, but it's grounding. It feels almost normal. Crane goes quiet at some point, as I notice him staring at the mirror across the room like it's offended him personally. He doesn't blink, he doesn't move. And then suddenly, crack. Glass shatters. I don't say anything, it's not my place to ask. But I know better than most the tricks one can play with a mirror. When the nurses return, they try to change my bandages, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't make it easy. I make it very, very clear that I do not want to be touched. I snap, hiss, I pull away. They mean well, I know that logically, but my skin still remembers the hands that hurt and the voices that lied. Eventually, though, I give in. I just want to go and get some air and get back to a sense of normal. But I don't necessarily feel guilty enough to apologise. The others have gone to speak with the old wolf. Pippin seems to hesitate, but after some gentle encouragement, he steps away. Only when they're gone do I reach for the note, and reading it makes me question my own sanity. I wrote right here what it said, not yet. It speaks of watching me and the man who saved me. I guess that wasn't just my mind playing tricks then. Inside is a map to help us with our mission. It says we'll meet again when the time is right. I'm in two minds. Half of me finds this dude creepy, yet he called me Thorn, a name I haven't heard in thousands of years at this point. Everyone who knew me by that name should be long dead by now, not to mention a completely different realm. I look at the parcel and open it. Inside is a book, plain, dark leather cover with worn edges, heavier than it looks. The title makes my jaw tighten. Understanding the enemy who may become a friend. Or something equally smug and self-aware. Figures. I flip it open and the there's blank pages. Of course they are. For a moment I feel stupid for expecting anything else. It's just like the others, like my book, empty unless it decides otherwise. I sigh, thumb brushing the page, and light. Not metaphorically, not poetic, an actual blinding light that pours out of the pages and wraps around my wrists, my throat, my spine. I don't even have time to swear before the room tears away and I'm falling. But then I'm standing, cobblestone beneath my feet, noise and life, a city breathing around me. I look down and my arm is whole. I no longer have my missing hand. My eye is clear. I'm wearing old clothes. Old, the kind I haven't worn since before everything broke the first time. Yet unfamiliar to the style I am used to. My heart starts to race for all the wrong reasons. The crowd moves around me, so I move with it, carried by instinct more than choice. Following the voices, I find a stage, and shocker, standing there is Killian, younger than I've ever seen him. Alive in a way that hurts to look at, standing beneath light, fingers dancing over strings like they belong there, like the world makes sense when he's holding an instrument as he starts to play. Crowd cheering for him, his voice carries over the crowd, low and aching, a song soaked in longing and regret. It's both beautiful and cruel. The crowd is spellbound. At the bottom edge of the stage stands Victario, arms folded, watching with that familiar stillness, unreadable, like he already knows how this story ends and is just waiting for the rest of us to catch up. Off to the side, a woman sits on the steps. Her eyes never leave Killian. There's no mistaking it. Love, plain and devastating, written all over her face. The kind that thinks it's safe. The song ends and applause erupts as Killian smiles just barely and steps down as Victario and the women follow. And then the world snaps and I'm ripped backward, beneath, breath stolen, light swallowing everything, and I'm back in the hospital room, half sitting, half falling back onto my bed. Crane and Pippin are staring at me like I've grown a second head. I quickly slam the book shut, tucking it away. Nothing happened. I say immediately, too fast, too sharp, but I don't wait for questions. I tuck the book away like it burned me and swing my legs over the side of the bed. My hands shake as I grab my fingers finding the familiar weight of my locket as Crane hands it to me. I press it to my chest. Never again, I mutter softly. I grab a Marla's sword, doing a small flourish as I sheathe it, and the weight now familiar to me again. As I leave, before anyone could stop me, I need the air and I need to see the sky again. Outside I collide straight into plate armour and red cloth. A man steadies me, voice official, clipped. Says he needs my statement, says I was assaulted. I have to clench my hands at my side, attempting to keep my voice steady. I don't know what you're talking about. I lie smoothly. I don't remember anything. He watches me for a moment too long, clearly unconvinced before sighing, and moves on saying that it's my right. Myra is already pissed and I'm not going to make it worse. I barely hear him leave. I'm only half paying attention when Owlet speaks and he says Killian's been found and that he's drugged, useless and very coherent. No way. The words echo loud in my head. There is no way. Myra is powerful, yes, but she's not that powerful. Not enough to break Killian like that. Not without something else going on. Heck, if it was that easy, then I really went too far at the circus. My thoughts spiral fast, sharp, as pieces click into place, whether I want them to or not. This could be my chance. Either way, I swing once there wouldn't be another chance. And frankly, I have to see this for myself. The strong, mighty Killian wilted down to a pathetic, drugged-up, docile version? I refuse to believe it. I tell the party I want to talk to Killian alone, just a friendly chat. I'll tell them I'll give them the information from the letter in exchange. They don't buy it. Gods help them, they just look at me and says, "If you want revenge, Lyra, just say it. If you want to dick kick him, that's fine too, we've got you." I freeze. Completely. They're actually serious. No judgment, no fear, no lectures about taking the high road, just support. And honestly, I don't know what to do with that. I've spent centuries assuming I deserve suspicion at best, a blade at worst. The idea that I could just say it and that they'll stand with me even if what I want isn't clean or kind hits harder than anything Myra did. I don't answer them right away, because the truth is messier than revenge. Part of me wants to finish what I started, part of me wants answers, and part of me is terrified of what happens if Killian ever tells them who I really was. I swallow, steady myself, and I tell them that I just simply want a friendly chat, that I don't seek revenge, at least not against Killian, at least not at this exact moment. The party agrees just like that, no arguing, no "are you sure?", no speeches about restraint or mercy. As we head for Killian's mansion with the quiet kind of resolve that makes my skin itch. Alec fills me in as we walk about the butler. I nod along, already building a plan in my head, pieces sliding into place. 2 ways to play this, and I don't know which way I'll go until I'm there. I just hope I can keep old me in check long enough for this. Algier offers to help me sneak in, and I hesitate for half a second before accepting. I trust him enough for this. I make it clear I need to speak to Killian alone, 10, maybe 15 minutes. If I'm not back by then they can worry. I also ask them firmly to keep an eye out for Myra. I am not eager for a rematch so soon, not while my head is still splitting itself in two. When we arrive, the house is large in an almost intimidating way. Gabriel, Crane's patron, stands near the entrance, already speaking with the butler as Algier gives me a look. Now. Crane does their part beautifully, drawing the butler and Gabriel away just enough. As Algier gives me a nod and I move fast, quiet, heart hammering as I dart for the door and slip inside before anyone thinks to look twice. Gods. I hope this doesn't backfire in the same way calling out his wife did. I doubt the party would forgive me again. The mansion smells like old wood and expensive regret. I follow the path round, down the hall and to the study doors, music coming softly from inside. Killian is inside, seated at his desk, a glass of whiskey in one hand, as he's listening to something soft. The kind of song that settles into your bones and refuses to leave. I watch him for a moment, kind of half taken aback. He does look different, I will admit to that. When I close the door, half softly, half deliberately loud, "Well," I say calmly, "it's been a long time, Killian." He doesn't turn at first. When he does, his eyes slide over me like I'm a stranger who wandered in here by mistake. "Sorry, do I know you? Are you the new maid?" he says flatly. I blink once. Okay, maybe Alec was right. Still. No, not a maid. My name is Lyra. Irate, but nothing, no flicker, no recognition. At least behind the eyes, though his hand shakes for a moment. That's curious. I tilt my head. "I'm the one who ripped your wife's heart out." Irate, I expect something, anger, fear, hatred, satisfaction, anything, but I can't read him. I can't tell if he's pretending or if he truly doesn't actually know. And God, it is frustrating to hell, bothering me more than it should. We go back and forth. I'm still trying to get a read on him. Before, after a while, without another word, I reached behind me and shattered the mirror on the wall with a pommel of my sword. Glass exposed outward, the sound sharp and final. If Myra was listening, whatever she was using is now gone. Silence fills the room, real silence for a brief moment as Killian complains about me breaking the mirror. Yeah, whatever, I'll pay for damages, I don't care. I'm more curious to see if this will have the desired effect. I taunt him a little more, not fully but enough, as his hand starts to shake and the risky glass cracks, before it shatters in his grip, amber liquid dripping onto the desk like spilled blood. There it is. Enough. What do you want, Lyra? Gods, finally, I murmur, stepping forward. Now we can talk. I pull out the chair opposite him and sit, slow and deliberate, never taking my eyes off his face. Took him long enough to drop the act. Let's just hope this now works. I don't race time. I don't have time to race, as who knows how long I now have before Myra shows up. I tell him my party, my friends, needs his help. I tell him the name Rictario and watch the flicker. It's there, brief control before gone again. As Killian leans back in his chair like he's already bored and says he doesn't make deals for free, asks why he should help me of all people. Then, quietly, almost kindly yet threatening, says he could tell my party what I did to him, what I am. My hand closes around my sword before I realise I've moved. I don't point it at him, I don't need to. I just turn it in my hands, testing the balance, letting the light catch the edge. If you ever tell them, I won't rip out your heart. I'll cut your tongue from your mouth instead. Besides, who's going to believe him? Ian exhales slowly before reaching into his coat and produces a crystal. He places it on the desk between us and activates it. I see everything, not from my eyes but from his, replaying those moments from the circus, the mental and emotional torture I put them through. Tells me all he would have to do is show them. But again, given that my party's willingness to let me dick kick this bitch, I doubt part of me highly doubts they would actually believe it. But at this point, that's not a chance that I'm willing to take. He calls me a mass murderer. That's what you are. And he's not entirely wrong. I know he's not, but it still hurts to hear. It wasn't by choice, I say. The words come out quieter than I expected. That seems to help. I see it in the way his shoulders ease just a fraction. A mutual understanding sort of seems to settle between us as he puts the crystal ray in stands, moving to the cabinet behind him as he pours 2 drinks and slides one across the desk to me. I take it and down it. The whiskey burns. Good, I deserved that much, and it was very much needed. I should have known peace would last exactly 3 seconds, as Myra doesn't knock. Of course she doesn't. Rain hits the window hard as I hear Crane's voice in my head just before I hear hers. Her voice cuts through the grounds like a blade, sweet and venomous, calling my name as if she owns it. I stay seated, glass in hand, as I glance over at Killian. Seems your wife has joined us. He laughs, and God's help us both. I think that concerns me more before than if he had just stayed silent. And, because at this point I have no self-preservation instinct left whatsoever, I poke my head out the window, risky, sloshing dangerously close to freedom, as I give a little wave and a smile at Myra. What's the worst she's gonna do? I watch as Myra freezes. Ah, there you are. Right. She recognises the room I'm in, and honestly, the look on her face almost makes this whole thing worth it. I give another smile. Hey, just finishing up some details in here. Give me 5 more minutes, then you can come kick my ass. I don't even finish turning back before the firebolt hits me square in the face. Pain explodes, hot, white and familiar as I fly backwards and hit the floor hard, my vision swimming. Half my face is already ruined from her once before by taking my eye. Apparently she's committed to cemetery. Almost want to admire that small fact. Ow, is all I manage. Killian is on his feet almost instantly. I'll deal with it. I hesitate. For half a heartbeat I consider running or staying, letting this be someone else's problem, letting the new old win. But I made her. Killian was right in that sense. This is my fault and my responsibility. So I stand. I'll come with you, Killian. It's only fair. Outside, the rain pours like the world is trying to drown us all before we make it worse. Killian steps between us, and somehow he manages to talk Myra down. Not peace, not forgiveness, just terms. Myself and the party are not to be harmed. Myra's eyes never leave me. You've turned him against me. I simply shake my head. Wasn't the goal, just needed his help. Not that she believes me. She never will and never will. She never does and never will. But I leave before she changes her mind, though I can't help the small smirk on my face as I walk past her. Back with the party, I keep my word. A deal is a deal. I hand over the information from the letter, the map, the stronghouse, and I watch Pippin's face fall as something clicks. The pieces started moving faster than I like. When I describe the man who saved me, the room goes even quieter. The man is known as the Phantom? That makes me curious. And then I say it, I don't plan to, it just falls out. Small hints at my memory being back without fully admitting it. Or perhaps I did, I can't remember. My mind is too busy trying to piece together thousands of years worth of memories. I tell the party that there's something that they should probably know. That the Phantom called me Little Thorn, an old nickname that I haven't heard in over 3,000 years. Silence for a moment before Pippin starts counting on his fingers, then on Crane's, then on Alric's until he runs out of hands. Crane just stares at me and finally asks the question everyone's thinking. How old are you? Well, I'm around 3,714 technically, and when I'm asked how I'm still alive, I hesitate. If they were understanding about dick kicks, let's hope they stay that way with this small bit of information. I shrug before settling. Let's just say I spent most of my life as a slave, made a deal, got a fancier cage, been used, broken, and Myra wasn't completely wrong in calling me a murderer, let's just say that. I don't give details and no one asks, for that I am grateful. And then suddenly Killian comes flying out of the house like a thrown chair. Before I think, I find myself grabbing his arm and helping to haul him upright. He looks dazed and slightly furious, and behind him the house seems to glow. And there she is, Myra, standing tall, holding a crown I recognise instantly. The crown of madness. The very thing I was hunting in England. The reason I met Killian in the first place. She vanishes with it. I turn on Killian, half rage, half cold fear twisting in my gut. How the fuck did you get that? He just wipes the blood off his face, looks at me and sighs. I'll need a drink for that conversation. Of course you do. How the fuck did you get a crown I spent years hunting for? I can't help but feel like I've now both helped and hindered the party.